if you've ever clicked on a YouTube video to confirm that you did in fact select the correct handgun, thus fulfilling your confirmation bias needs, then go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, guys. Welcome back to the Trench Grenade channel. I am your host, the average Sig versus Glock 2025 edition video enjoyer that your mom says that we have at home. Thanks for watching. Guys, the purpose of today's video is I'm going to be outlining my thoughts on the Sig versus Glock debate and giving you some honest opinions and feedback based on my life's experiences with both platforms. Now, I want to lay out some ground rules, okay? Today we're not going to be covering any of the drama or the safety issues with the uncommanded discharges and the ongoing litigation and all the things occurring with this handgun. This video is simply going to be about my experiences, which I have a lot of experience with the Sig P320 and with the Glock platform. So we are not going to be diving too much into the drama aspect, but just based on my raw experiences and data that I have been able to collect through tens of thousands, if not probably over 100,000 rounds at this point with the Sig P320 platform, as well as the Glock platform as well. So a ton of bullets have been put down range through both of these weapons, specifically these and my work ones for the M18, M17s, and a Glock 17 Gen 2, which we'll get into here in a minute. So I have a lot of experience with these guns, and I figured I would give you my honest opinions and feedback if you are someone who is looking to buy their first handgun or someone that is looking to confirm that they made the right decision. Well, jump on in, grab a drink. I'm drinking a Reign for today's video. Grab a protein drink, a beer, or whatever you got going on. Take a seat and continue time thefting from your boss or whatever you got going on while I give you some honest opinions based on data that I have pulled from a field environment and a range environment, competitions, etc., and a number of courses. And this will help you determine what gun to get or if you made the right decision. All that I ask that you do to support the channel is hit the like button. If every single one of you hits the like button right now, that will tell a like-minded individual to come check out the channel. That's really what I'm going for with this video, is just to get you guys to hit the like button, engage with the video, or leave a Combat Llama, L-L-A-M-A, Combat Llama emoji down below. If you want to support monetarily, there is both an ammunition fund and we are affiliated with Safariland. If you need a duty-rated holster, emphasis on need, not want, okay, if you actually need one right now for, LARPing, well, I guess more Minuteman aspect, or if you need one for work, use the link down below. That supports the channel, because remember, if you don't have an active retention system on your gun, it's not your gun, it's our gun, okay? And yes, they do make 1911. This is an M1911A1 T-Sauce that is in a level, lock this thing at the rear, that is in a level 3 retention holster. So mega base that Safariland is partnered with the channel, and that they do offer, even nowadays, a good 1911 holster for level 3 purposes, okay? So use the link down below if you need all that. So background, now that we've covered the rules, we're not getting into the drama. We're, for today, assuming that there's never ever been, allegedly, an uncommanded discharge ever with the P320. We're just going to focus on my actual experiences, as my leg has never been ventilated by a P320 or an M17. So that is good news. So we're going to be discussing my experiences. So background. I've been carrying a Glock 19, Glock 23 in the beginning, but more importantly a Glock 19 or a Glock 19X or variation thereof for the past 13 years, okay? So for my entire adult life, basically, since I have had the legal ability to carry, and since I've had a concealed carry permit, I have been carrying a Glock for the vast majority of that time. That is going to obviously lead me to be biased a little bit throughout this video, but don't worry, you'll have to watch the entire video to understand where I actually stand on the Sig versus Glock issue. But that is the majority of my background with this handgun, is concealed carry. And I have attended some courses with the gun, and I carried it for one course in, I don't know, 2014 or 15. I went to a CQB course, and I carried a Glock 17 Gen 2 while I was assigned to the 173rd, and I carried a Glock 17 Gen 2 throughout that course as well. So there is my background with the Glock handgun. Again, I've prior probably fired easily over 100,000 rounds. If you look at just this channel alone and what has been filmed on camera for the Trench Grenade channel alone, I have fired a lot of bullets through a lot of Glock pistols, whether it be Glock 26s, whether it be Glock 19Xs, and right around now you should be seeing some B-roll of a bunch of Glock handguns. I have, allegedly a couple hundred or more handgun magazines for the Glock handgun, and I have a ton of Glocks, okay? Allegedly. I have a lot of Glock pistols, and I do shoot them a ton, both for personal protection and for your entertainment needs and testing them here on the Trench Grenade channel. So 13 years of carrying a Glock handgun, and my dad also was a law enforcement officer who carried a Glock 27 off duty and a Glock 22 on duty. So I fired other Glocks, Glock 17s and Glock 22s, Glock 27s growing up in .40 caliber. So I have a lot of experience with Glock handguns, okay? So there's my background with the Glock. Now, let's move on to the SIG. What is my pedigree, for lack of a better term, with the SIG? Courses. I have attended a ton of Army courses with the SIG M17. I helped field the SIG M17 back in 2017, 2018 in Fort Riley, Kansas, 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team in 118 Infantry Company, 118 Infantry Battalion, Barbaric Company. I helped field the M17 handgun, and I was one of the committees that helped identify that these things were not drop safe and a number of other issues, as well as some of the components not being properly fit to the gun, to include the safeties and some of the other components. That is why they are all now black, not FDE like they first were when we fielded them back then. So I have extensive history. This is an M18 for today's video. As the M17, here's the M17 lower. The M17 upper sights are being reinstalled and Loctited properly due to torture testing. But I have a extensive history with the Sig Sauer platform, probably more than most of you guys watching this, and that is what is so ironic about most of this drama going on right now with the SIG pistols. Is a lot of the guys that are commenting with zero personal experience and just reading news articles, and that's fine, but wouldn't it be important for you guys to hear it from the horse's mouth, somebody that has actually used the gun a lot? So I helped field these things for the not that I represent the Army or the Department of Defense, but while serving in the Army, I did help field these guns and helped adopt them with the Army. I've graded a number of expert infantryman badge grading sessions. Again, not that I represent the Army or Department of Defense or any organization anyway, but I do have a lot of experience grading the function test, disassembly, reassembly, you name it, on the M17 service pistol while serving active duty. I've competed with the SIG P320 Compact in a number of competitions. I have competed with the SIG M17 service pistol. I have earned my Excellence in Competition bronze badge while serving active duty, carrying a SIG M17 pistol. What that means for those that are not in the know or not initiated, that is a very difficult badge to earn. Excellence in Competition, EIC for short. Bronze badge, that means I did really, really, really good shooting competitively with national match and stuff like that with the SIG M17 pistol, thus replacing my qualification badge for both rifle and pistol to a permanent assigned badge where I wear an Excellence in Competition badge on my Class A uniform or AGSUs. For those guys that are not in the military, all that means to you is that I shot really, really good with the SIG M17 while serving in the Army, okay? Again, I don't represent them in any way. USPSA, I covered that. I've shot the compact, the Sig Sauer compact, and I have torture tested this gun and this gun, both the M18 and the M17 extensively, okay? Extensively. That's why this thing has blue tiger stripe camo. I have tested these things a lot, okay? They may or may not have been buried in mud. They may or may not have been thrown at steel targets, while cleared, of course. They may or may not have been doused in water and then buried in mud some more, and they have performed phenomenally. We're going to get into reliability here in a little bit, but I have every bit of confidence with the SIG pistol at the time of filming this video. Okay, so that is my background. 7 to 8 years of history with the Sig M17, M18, 7 to 8 years of history with that thing, and 13 years of history with the Glock platform, okay? Specifically the 19X, 17, and the 19. As I do own a number of other ones, those are the ones I've shot the most bullets through. Let's move on to the pros and cons. I'm not really going to get too much into prices as I don't want to violate anything here. You guys can do all your Googling, but they're very comparable, right? They're very comparable. I want to get into reliability, and this is where all of the haters are going to begin to hate. Keeping in mind, this is my experience, okay? My experience based on my pedigree, history with the guns, you name it, right? And this is what my experience is. I have had less malfunctions with a Sig P320, M17, or M18 than I have had with a Glock handgun. And less issues, okay? I have had sights fall off of Glock handguns a lot, whether it be the polymer sights or metal sights or Trijicon sights that were installed with Loctite 2 specification. I have had a lot of issues with Glocks, okay? And with around 7,000 rounds, the Glock typically will need some springs replaced in the gun, okay? So I have had better luck in my experience with the M17, M18, or P320 as far as reliability is concerned. I typically shoot 124 grain, or at work when I shoot these guns, I shoot 124 grain plus speed NATO spec ammo. Off work, I shoot 124 grain full metal jacket standard pressure ammunition through both of these guns when training. When I carry the guns, I carry the exact same bullet, Federal HST or Hydroshocks when I carry off work, and the guns both perform very well with those, but I have had more malfunctions with the Glocks than I have ever had with the M17, and that's not to say that the M17s are perfect, but I have had more issues with Glock handguns than with SIGs, okay? Again, just my experiences. Don't freak out down in the comments because Reddit told you something different. This is just some random dude's experience, right? The triggers. Okay, here we go. Gun is clear and safe. Okay, boom, gun is clear. Now, the triggers. I prefer on the wall break, okay? The way I was trained on this gun is the same way that I was trained on the Beretta by my NCOs before me. Slack, press, okay? The SIG trigger, in my opinion, slack, press. The SIG triggers, in my opinion, okay, are better than the Glocks. Now, this is where all the guys down below are going to be like, well, what about the current drama and safety issues? Yeah, we're not going to ignore those, but we're not going to cover those here today either. I have a number of videos talking about that. Now, the Glock trigger with the safety dongle that, you know, the SIG probably should have adopted. Again, not going to get into the whole uncommanded discharge thing today. Boom. We're on the wall, press. So while they are very similar, I find that I shoot the SIGs on the wall, press. I find that I shoot the SIG handgun a little bit better and a little bit more accurately for me due to the trigger, okay? Now, some of that, if you want to factor in the plastic sights that Glock still includes, that is a problem. That is a major problem for me, right? So both the trigger, for me, the trigger on the SIG is smoother and shorter pull, and I do carry the SIGs with the manual safety because that is what I do at work as well, okay? But for me, both the sights and trigger on the M17 or M18 pistol are better than that of a stock Glock that comes with polymer sights and a little bit worse trigger on the wall break, okay? So for me, the trigger, the reliability, and the sights go to SIG. Now, where does Glock actually win? Magazines. These things, okay, these things cost way too much money, way too much. And I have found that these have paint chipping issues. You can't really see it based on the lighting, but where my finger is right here, this entire area is silver, okay? Maybe I can see it better on a different magazine here. One second. But what I have found is, what I'm unhappy, I guess I should say, with the SIG is the cost per magazine is ridiculous. Sometimes these can be up to $60. If you find them on sale, you know, you find them. I can't discuss that too much here on YouTube, but all that is to say that these magazines are worse than Glock OEM. You can see a number of where I have had magazines break. See if I can find that mag right now. Where is it? Don't know. Okay, well, I have had Sig magazines break that were relatively new because they were dropped on a hard surface, and I've had the middle of the magazine. If I find that mag in a hurry, I'll include it in B-roll. But I've had the very center of that magazine strip right down the middle after being dropped, a loaded mag dropped on concrete. I've never ever had that with any Glock OEM magazine ever. So the pros for magazines, both cost and reliability and durability for the magazines themselves, definitely goes to Glock. Okay. Now, what are my recommendations and conclusions based on everything I just named? Keeping in mind, these are my experiences again. This is not something that I found off the internet. This is just me telling you where my mindset is. A lot of you guys already know where I'm going with this. For me, due to having a contractual obligation to carry this thing at work, okay, the way my brain works, when I think about a serious belt gun or Minuteman gun or work gun, right? WROL, Minuteman, actual duty use. When I think about that type of use, this is the setup that I'm using based on everything that I just explained, okay? So if the end of the world were to happen right now, right, due to everything I just outlined, this right here would be the setup that you see on my hip, okay? White light, multi-tool, 2 additional magazines, 1 magazine of the gun, dump pouch, IFAK with tourniquet, plus my body armor and rifle. This would be what would be on my hip due to the reliability. Again, based on my testing, due to the trigger, due to the sights being metal and bomb-proof, and all the things we discussed today. Now, that is not to say that the Glock is not a good gun. I carry a Glock for concealed carry. For me, the division in my brain, the way it works is for work purposes and for overt carry, this is what I'm using, okay? You're seeing it right here before your eyes. This is very similar, if not exactly, except for an M17, to what I would use for both duty use or Minuteman activities, okay? Based on my testing and my experience and all the things I just outlined. Now, for concealed carry, Nighthawk carries, where's the 19? Here we go. Here's a 26. Nighthawk carries a Glock 19. This is a 26. Carries a Glock 19. So that is what I carry. We both carry a Glock 19. She carries a Gen 3. I carry a Gen 5. And that is my concealed carry gun the vast majority of the time. Now, that does have an issue with manual of arm to manual of arm. And I don't recommend that. But that is just what I have been doing for so long. So what my recommendations would be is pick one. Pick one that you like, that you trust. There are obvious current issues, and we'll talk about that here now, with this bad Larry right here. Let's see if I get this to focus. This internal sear safety, right here, the striker safety, has caused, allegedly, major issues and major trust issues with the general public and the SIG. Major issues, right? We cannot fix that. We cannot deny it. I'm not trying to defend SIG in any way. I have acknowledged those issues, and I have been very, very, very critical on Sig Sauer publicly based on those issues, right? You guys have seen probably a number of videos on my channel discussing, yeah, this is unacceptable. They need to recall the guns. They need to, have a fix, announce a fix, something like that, especially for guys that may have to carry this in this manner for work, right? That's a problem. For guys that are carrying this thing for work, that is a serious issue if there is an internal defect, right? So more to follow on that. We're not going to cover that too much here today, but I'm not denying that. I am not defending that in any way again. So what I do is not advice to you. It is just what I do. This is my backdoor gun for a reason. This is a Glock 26. We typically load it up with Hydroshocks or Federal HSTs, and it is my backdoor gun in a secure location that only I can access it or Nighthawk can access it, and this is our emergency backdoor gun. Okay, so I trust Glock for that. For concealed carry, I oftentimes will have a Glock 19 Gen 5 for concealed carry. But when it comes time for outside the waistband overt carry, you will most likely see me with a Sig Sauer M18 or M17 due to that is what I'm using at work, that is what I've been trained to use, and that is what I've built the most confidence with as far as reliability. Now, again, this is not advice for you. This is just how I've arrived at this conclusion and my thoughts on the issue. I sometimes also carry a staccato. So that is not to say that you should go out and buy a staccato, because we all know that these guns are not drop safe, but they are excellent shooters, right? So you have to train with whatever you decide to carry, you have to train with it. And if you don't trust that this bad Larry right here is going to protect you and save your life and actually hold the sear to the rear when it's supposed to, then you should not carry a Sig. If you don't trust not to get Glock leg, or you're going to go out and put an aftermarket trigger in your Glock, you probably shouldn't do that, right? So there's still certain rules you have to follow with both of these guns, right? There's still certain things you have to be aware of. Don't mod the trigger, don't mod the gun at all, put grip tape on it, put metal sights on it, and you're good to go, because it has trash sights from the factory. Everybody knows that, right? If not, you didn't know that before, you do now. And there's the issues that we've kind of touched on a little bit with the Sig. But at this point, I kind of want to turn it over to you guys, and I want you guys to let me know, what have you decided to carry, and what is your determination? Again, you know, I'm not beating the Sig allegations today, but this is just what I'm actually, you know, the predicament that I'm in based on the line of work that I may or may not be in, and what I have to do outside of the Trench Grenade channel, and this is what I have decided to do for my professional and personal life. Not advice to you, but you guys let me know what you have determined that you need to do. Again, if you need a holster, okay, and you want it to be your gun, not our gun, well, use the link down below for Safariland, Mega Based. Thank you for doing that. Hit the like button. Leave a llama down below, combat llama, drama llama down below, and let me know what your thoughts are and what you have decided to carry and why. Don't just be like this guy. Oh, Glock 19. And you got to expand. You got to say why, man. Okay, so I look forward to reading those comments. I'm sure that will be fun. Thanks for hanging out here tonight on the Trench Grenade channel. And until next time, this is going to be Trench Grenade, your average. We are not beating the Sig allegations today. Video enjoyer, like your mom says, live at home. Signing out. Cheers.